Hi friends, welcome to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. My name is Hannah and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. Before we begin, I just want to give a general disclaimer. This podcast episode is a week late because we had a hurricane roar through. We are safe. My house is safe. My family is safe. We have electricity. Our house did not flood. Thank you so much to everyone who reached out and sent me messages, and I tried to update as I could, but it's been an insane week. So I will give you the full story at the end of the episode, but for now, let's talk about yarn because I have so much to talk about. It has been 3 weeks since I last recorded, and I have a lot of bags. I can't even count how many bags I have. All of my projects, essentially, except for there's 2 whips, I think, that I haven't brought over here that I touched. So we have lots and lots to talk about. If you're looking for me anywhere on the interweb, you can find me as the Cozy Cottage Crochet on Instagram. You can find the Cozy Cottage Ravelry group linked down below. And then anything about the podcast, you want to talk, ask questions, just shoot me an email. My email address is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. And this is my bi-weekly, although it's been 3 weeks, podcast where I talk about all the yarny things. So if that is interesting to you, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button, and then you will be kept up to date on future episodes, which come out every 2 weeks, except when there's a giant hurricane that destroys half of the country. So the first thing we are going to talk about is the Fancy Yarn Mal. So currently I'm running a make-along called the Fancy Yarn Mal. The only rule is that you use yarn that is special to you. It can be any fiber, it can be any weight of yarn. You can do any fiber craft with it. It is completely up to you. It just has to be special to you. So I am making my project. It is the Cirrus shawl by Rosina of Zines and Roger, and I have made a little bit of progress. Of course, these rows are starting to get very long, so they take forever, and that's only going to get worse as the pattern progresses. But this is what it looks like. This is the Cirrus shawl. I just have a black and white photo, so it's not like the best photo, but essentially it's mohair or some kind of lace weight fuzzy yarn mixed with, in her pattern, a DK weight boucle yarn. I am using a fingering weight yarn, and the yarns that I am using are right here shoved in my bag. These are the 2 I am using. So this yarn is Farmer's Daughter? Nope, wrong. I should never just guess at things, should I? From the Good Shepherd. It is the colorway Iris, and it's 80% merino, 20% nylon. And then this mohair is Alive with Purpose yarn that came from my lovely friend Emmy, and it's called All Hail the Purple One. It is 72% mohair and 28% silk. I have 2 of each of these. I may break into the second skein of this. We will see. I definitely won't use the second one of this, so I can use that for something else. I have been hoarding this yarn for quite some time, waiting for the perfect project to appear. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit waiting. I'm going to go look for a project. And the project I found. So here we go. This is how much it has grown. It has actually grown by an entire stripe, which when you're working with lace weight is a lot. And this shawl is going to have many of these layers. So it is currently just a little baby bib, but it is going to grow humongously. And I'm certainly not going to have this finished by the end of the make-along. The Fancy Yarn Mal runs until the end of November, by the way. There will be prizes, both from the Ravelry group and Instagram, and separate prizes for my patrons. So this is what it looks like. Well, it looks better over my blue background of my blue shirt. This is called a boucle stitch. So essentially you work in the front loop and then the back loop and then the front loop and then the back loop. So it's kind of slow going because you can't really ever get into a rhythm of it, but I am loving what it looks like. It's just beautiful. And then these bands are where you do increases, and it also gives the shawl a little bit of texture. So I have just started the 3rd band, and I don't even know how many there are. Does it even say, oh, look at that? I'm not going to show you the pattern because it's a paper pattern, but I wrote out how many stripes there are. So I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5.5 more. 5.5 more of these. And of course it's exponentially increasing. It increases by 4 stitches each lace row. And then in the fingering weight solid bands, it increases by quite a few stitches. So it is going to grow and grow and grow, but I just love it. This is going to be a piece that I keep forever and ever because it's magical. Like, it's truly magical. I wish you could feel how soft this is. So if you would like to participate in the Fancy Yarn Mal, all you have to do is pick a yarn that's special to you. I'm using lace weight mohair, but it doesn't have to be lace weight mohair. It could be a skein of acrylic that you got years ago and has special meaning to you. And I'm just really, really happy to be working on that when I get a chance to work on it. There's been a lot going on. I do have a finished object, which I almost had finished last time. It's my bag. It's a little lumpy. Lumpy is what I'm trying to say. My bag from the Hooks and Needles subscription box. So it would have been finished way previously, but I decided to be extra, as I usually am, and line it. So this is what it looks like finished. And the lining fabric that I picked is a tea towel. And so it had the same exact front and back. It did not have a right side and a wrong side necessarily. And I wanted that because you can see through it. And now that I'm like, you can't, the amount you can see is so small, it probably wouldn't have mattered. But again, I'm extra. So I got a little carried away. I had to do some finagling because my gauge was so off. And I spent some time talking in the last episode about my gauge on this bottom strip that I had to redo because mine was too long and too short. So I had extra rows and I took out some stitches to make this fit. And I had to do some, like the zipper tab should be ending right here, but instead the zipper is ending right here. So I had to kind of like sew across the zipper at one point, and then on this side, just wedge it in there and kind of make it work, which it wasn't really supposed to be that way, but you know what, who cares, it's my bed. And that's what you do with fiber arts. Sometimes the gauge just doesn't work for you. I tend to crochet really tightly, and so gauge is often an issue in my life. But this is the lining. Is it the best lining I've ever done? No. But is it functional? Yes. And this is a very dodgy bag. I hand stitched the entire thing. So I was going to get out my sewing machine and do the lining part on my machine and then hand stitch it to the zipper. But I just decided to hand sew the whole thing. I wish that I hadn't, because that was more work than I wanted to do, truly. But it came out beautifully and I'm really happy with this. This is going to go in my room on top of my little dresser and hold some, I don't know if I'm going to put makeup in it, but I have some like little items that I want to keep safe. And I think this is going to go in there. You cannot see my terribly wonky seams because they're all on the inside of the bag, and that's a good thing. The only seams you can see are the ones that are right on the inside of the zipper. And they're a little crooked, but that's okay. It's okay. I have this much yarn left over. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It's about probably 60 grams of yarn. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. I would have never looked up a pattern like this, truly. Never in my life would I have gone looking for a makeup bag pattern that's boxed. I would have been like, no, I just want to make garments. I just want to make mirables. But because you get these tiny little projects in the Hooks and Needles box, I have been making them and I have been so enjoying them. This is the fourth project I finished from the box? I think so. So I'm really, 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 really happy with it. And I just love it. I really love it. I gotta take a picture to put it on Ravelry so it can be finished. And then, then it can retreat to my room. It's actually been finished for like 2.5 weeks. I finished it right after I recorded the last podcast episode. But then of course you can't use it until you share it with the world. Otherwise, does anyone even know that you have finished it? I don't think so. So that is my one and only finished object. I have been working on so many other things though. So the next thing I'm going to show you, I'm just going to keep it in the Hooks and Needles family. I have almost completed the Whirlygig hat. And as you will know if you watched the last episode, this is the Whirlygig hat. It's a pattern by Abby Made. I talked extensively about how the weird stitch that is used in this pattern is actually just a linked double treble. And she refers to it as a linked one upple treble. And there's no information online about that. So it was quite an ordeal to figure it out, but I did figure it out. If you're ever going to make that pattern, just know it's a linked double treble crochet stitch, and Dora Orenstein has some resources on how to do that. I have actually completed the whirl, and I just started on the brim. I then got kind of irritated with it, and I don't even know why I got kind of irritated with it. Maybe it was just my mood that day and I put it down, and this was like a week ago and I haven't looked at it since. But this is how it starts. It starts from this little spiral, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you have the whole whirl going all the way down, and then it kind of tapers to an end. So you can see it gets smaller and tapers off. This one, where's the purple? The purple tapers off in the same, and then you do a round of single crochet before you start adding this brim. I feel like this hat is too big, but like it fits. I don't know. It fits me, but I haven't added the brim yet, so it's going to be really slouchy once I add this. Like, let's see. I'm following the pattern for the brim. We'll see how much it pulls it in. I hope it pulls it in pretty significantly, because right now this hat is too loose. But it looks kind of loose in the picture, and I also followed the measurements in the pattern. I'm using a different weight of yarn, but I followed measurements in the pattern, so it shouldn't be that loose. So I don't know. We will see how much this brim pulls the hat in around your head to cinch it. I don't know that this is my style. I feel like, honestly, what I feel like is I should have some dreads under here. But I don't. I don't have dreads. I have really short hair. A knit slouchy hat is totally my jam. This, I don't really know. I don't know. It may be donated or gifted or something at the end of this, but it's been a really interesting experience to work on a pattern that I had such a problem with understanding what it was talking about. And also, I really love the yarn, and I think the yarn is what keeps me coming back to this, because this is so soft, you guys. This is 100% merino, 100% unshrinkable merino, so I guess superwash is what they're trying to say, from Hooks Needles. And so they sent me 2 balls of the purple and 1 ball of this mauve color, and I am almost at the end of the first purple ball, and this is how much I have. So you could get, out of 100 grams, one of these Whirlygig hats. I will have probably 40 grams left of this once I finish the brim. We will see. The patterns that came in that box are really cute. I just really wanted to use this yarn to make something wearable because it is so soft. So that is on the go. I will put this on the floor over there. It's on the go. Hopefully that'll be a finished object next time. I just got irritated. Which, again, I don't even know if that's me or if it's the pattern or what. I got over the pattern. Do you guys do that? Like, you reach a point in the pattern where you're like, I have regret. Everything is a mistake. I should never have made this. And then you get over it and you finish it and it's totally fine. I don't know. When that hat is done, though, there are more new projects coming because the new box arrived and this is what is inside. And I think this actually might be my favorite yarn they've ever sent, which I've had, what, 5 boxes now? So the patterns in this one are a bucket hat, super cute. Also a shawl. It's called the Elegant Twilight Shawl. And then what I will be making, I really like the shawl. I may not make it in that yarn, but I do really like that shawl pattern. It is an urban drawstring bag, and you can see this zigzag texture. The reason I want to make this bag is because I saw online a picture of a Halloween pumpkin made using this zigzag stitch, and I have never used that stitch before. It doesn't look like it's super complicated. It looks like it's front and back post trebles, perhaps. It says this is an advanced pattern. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see back loop, front loop. Ooh, front post trebles. So there's front and back post double crochets, and then there is a front post triple crochet, which is exciting. So let's see if I can do this without showing the pattern. You actually, it's like a round bucket bag. So you make the bottom and then you start working up the side and you make the texture. Let's see if I can find. I really am obsessed with that texture and I want to try it out because I want to make this bag and then I want to turn that into making a pumpkin. I want to make a pumpkin for decor. I know I'm way late on this. Everybody and their mother is making pumpkins and has been making pumpkins for years. Every time it's October, people are making pumpkins. And I have not made a single crochet pumpkin in my life because they never just spoke to me. But I saw one using that zigzag stitch and I need it. I need it in my life. It is happening. But first I need to learn how to do it. So let me show you what else came in the box. There are 3 balls, 3 50-gram balls of this yarn. And this is a sport weight yarn. And it is so pretty. That is what I meant when I was like, this is my favorite yarn they've ever sent. It's gorgeous. Like it's blue. The base color is almost like a off-white. And it's got speckles of green, yellow, purple, blue. I love it. It will make a beautiful bag. It will also make a beautiful shawl. Now I'm like torn because this is 70% wool, 70% merino wool and 30% nylon. Oh, I could make socks out of this. I'm not going to. I'm trying not to be precious about yarn at the moment. I have plenty of sock yarn and more on the way. So this will either be that shawl or it will be that bag. I have not decided yet. I may make that shawl out of this, but I kind of want to make the bag. I just think it's so pretty. So it came with that. It came with the crochet hook and then, oops, dropping stuff on the floor again. It also came, you get like a little extra every time in the box and you never know what it's going to be. It could be a pair of scissors, could be some stitch markers. This time it came with wooden labels that say handmade on them. And there are five wooden handmade. I just think they're so cute. So how cute is my little bag going to be with this handmade label on top? I'm in a bag era. It's my bag era. So I am loving it. If you would like your own Hooks and Needles subscription box, they have a knitting one, a crochet one, and they have an amigurumi one as well. So, and they're all pretty much the same price. So if you would like 20% off your first box, use my link down below and my code, and that will give you 20% off your first box. And I shall keep you apprised of all of the projects I am making. I'm really happy to have the makeup bag done. Next time, I am determined to have that Whirlygig hat done. And then I'm going to have to figure out what I can do with 50 grams of a worsted weight merino. Maybe I should make a purple Halloween pumpkin. Maybe. And then, of course, I'm going to start on this as well. So that's exciting stuff. And has my pile gotten any smaller? Technically, yes, because I've talked about 4 things. But it doesn't look any smaller. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 project bags. You guys, 8. I've been talking for 20 minutes and we have 8 project bags. So I'm just going to grab it. Just going to grab it and keep going. This is in no particular order. Oh, this is my Westmont shawl. The Westmont shawl is a Tunisian crochet shawl. And it is a pattern by Tony Lipsy, who is TL Yarn Crafts. I have shown this on every podcast episode for quite a while now. It has only gotten a little bit of love, but again, these rows take at least a half an hour now to complete. And so I have done 1, 2, 4 of them. So I've spent 2 hours working on this. Gorge, totally gorge. So I have to finish this purple stripe, do 1 more mesh panel, and then another purple stripe. So that is probably, 10, 20, probably 30 rows, plus a border. So 30, that's 15, that's 15 hours. 15 more hours I'm going to be working on this shawl. But it is really worth it. I am loving every single stitch. And, just embrace slow making. This is a long-term project, but when it is done, it will be miraculous. And I'm just delighted by it. So that one has had 2 hours of work or 4 total rows. The next shawl I am working on is technically finished because I ran out of yarn. And I can't do anything else with it. I'm out of yarn, but I have not woven in the ends. I have not blocked it. I pretty much finished it and then it's just been sitting ever since then. So this is the Wonder Woman shawl, which is a free pattern. This is a pattern that I have wanted to make for literally years now. And I'm just really, really happy that it's done. I made the large size. I would not have run out of yarn if I had known or realized that the color I was using for the border was a sport weight yarn and not a fingering weight yarn. I don't know why I didn't make that connection, why I didn't notice that there was like 40 less yards than usual. But I ran out of yarn because I'm missing some yardage because it's a sport weight yarn. So this is what it looks like. This is the Wonder Woman wrap by Carissa Browning. I made it through row 6 of the top border, so I am missing 3 rows of the top border for this yarn. The yarn that I used is the blue that you will see in a moment is from Camelot Dye Works. It came from Rochelle, who is a lovely friend of this podcast. The colorway is Sea Serpent. It is 100% superwash merino wool. This is the sport weight, so it only had 328 yards. If I had had 400 yards, it would have worked. Or if I had just paid attention and picked a different skein of yarn that had more yardage. The other contrasting yarn, I have a little bit left. This, I have no idea what the base is, other than it's some kind of wool and it has stellina in it. I hope it has nylon in it, but I really don't know. So I was not going to make socks with these. And this is from Kate Celine. It just doesn't have any information on the tag. So are you ready? Are you ready? It's so cool looking. Oh, ta-da! It's magical. Let me back up so you can see it in its full glory. This is what it looks like. It is my entire wingspan. And I am so happy with the colors that I chose, even though I didn't get to finish the top border as much as I would like to. I did get to fully complete row 6, and look at how much yarn I have left. This is it, this tail. So I was really pushing it. I love the way the colors are. It's showing up a little brighter on camera than it is in real life. And it's not that these spots aren't as bright as they're showing up on camera. It's just that the spots on camera are making the whole thing look neon, but it's really not. Because when you get really close, you can see that there's a lot of gray and blue interspersed in there. So you can tell that the bottom border is bigger than the top border. And it does bother me. I wish that it didn't bother me, but it does. I'm a bit of a perfectionist and it's totally fine. I have all of these ends to weave in, and it is going to grow somewhat when I block it because it's just superwash. So I imagine it's like this big right now. It's probably going to come down to here and be really, really big, but I'm going to be wearing this. I'm not going to wear it over my shoulders. I'm going to be wearing it like this probably. And so I know some people hate this one tail is like getting in the way. I know some people hate wearing shawls with the point in the front, and this doesn't even have a point. It's like straight across. I really like that, and I don't know why. It's just my style. I just like having the point in the front. So I will probably wear it like this. So I don't think anyone is going to be able to tell that this top border is shorter, except I'll know, and it will bother me until the day I die. But it's not enough to frog the entire shawl and do it again. And also, it wouldn't be as perfect, right? So this stitch marker, this little blue shoe of a stitch marker is where I was last time, and I finished the second stripe. I finished these two, what are they called? These, and then I did the top border, and I'm so happy with it. Let's see. It is it's nice to wrap over your shoulders. I just would never do that. Like this, wearing a shawl like this, first of all, it just gets in the way to me and is not my style at all. I like things in the front. But I totally understand that some people love to wear shawls like that, and that's totally fine. That's the beauty of fashion and yarn and all kinds of things, is you can do whatever you want. It's your project. So I'm very happy with it. Moment of appreciation for the Wonder Woman shawl. Next time I get to show you this again because I have not woven in the ends. I have not blocked it. And I should, because then it will be perfect. And then it can go into my shawl bag, my shawl area, my shawl containment location. So yeah, that is basically a finished object. It just needs a little more love to make it all the way. What else? What else? What else? I have 2 pairs of socks to talk about. Do I? I know I have 1 pair of socks to talk about, but I brought them both over here. And so now my question is, did I actually do anything on these socks? I must have done something because there's no stitch stoppers on the needles. Let's see. Oh man, I did way more than I thought. So these are my Christmas socks. Listen, y'all, it's been a long week, okay? It's been a really long week. These are my Christmas socks. This yarn came from my lovely friend Amanda, and she had made some socks out of it, I think, or made something out of it because it was like a leftover ball. There was about 50 grams, maybe 55 grams left. And so I made sock number 1 is finished, and it is so sparkly. This is like the sparkliest yarn I've ever seen. I don't think I would put this yarn next to my neck because the sparkly is like poking out everywhere. It's a little bit scratchy, but on your feet, like, it definitely doesn't matter. It is West Yorkshire Spinner Signature 4-ply Sparkle. Does it have a date on it? Because this is definitely a Christmas colorway, but from what year, I have no idea. No, it doesn't. It's 75% wool, 23% nylon, 2% polyester. The polyester must be the sparkle. And this is the colorway Vintage Tencel. So this is where I was last time, and I finished an entire foot and toe. I don't think I have talked about socks for maybe a month. Yeah, because the last podcast episode, I didn't have any progress on my socks to speak of, so I didn't share them. So this is like a month's worth of sock knitting. I have finished 1 entire foot of a sock, and I really need to find my stitch stoppers and put them back on here. There's 1. Is there another one? So I have started the second one, clearly, and then just shoved it in my bag. Oh, you know when I was working on this? I was getting allergy tested. That's when I was working on this. Because I thought that I was going to be sitting there for quite a while, so I took my yarn and my socks, and I probably got 3 rows done, and then they decided to allergy test me on my arms. So I couldn't knit. I had to sit there with my arms like this for like half an hour, which was sad because I could have had some knitting done. But yeah, I have completed the cuff of the second one, and I'm working on the leg. I am working my socks as I do usually on 2.25 millimeter needles. I cast on 64 stitches, do 2x2 rib for 15 rounds. Lately I have been working the cuff for 20 rounds just to make it slightly taller. This is the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which just worked out to be that symmetrical. It's not going to work out like that on the second sock because, as you can see, it's completely different. And then I work the foot all the way to size 8, women's 8, US 8 on my sock ruler, which is my favorite knitting notion from Twice Sheared Sheep. I will link this below. I love my sock ruler because it's a slap bracelet. And it has sizing for kids' shoes, men's shoes, and women's shoes on one side and a ruler on the other side. So, and then I do the rounded toe from Mina's Vanilla Sock Recipe, who's the knitting expat. So yes, actually some sock progress. This is the project that always goes in my go bag, my giant mom bag. So if I'm ever stuck somewhere, I can put in a few stitches. This sock project has been sitting on my couch so that if I'm just laying there staring at the wall, I can have a little time to pick something up without thinking about it. I can just knit in a circle. And look, there's a sock ruler in here too, and this one's purple. Sock ruler. And there's the ruler on the other side. You could just wear it on your wrist, but I like to keep it coiled up in my sock bag for easy access at all times. This yarn I have already made a pair of socks out of, and it is also for my friend Amanda. Hi, Amanda. Thank you for funding my sock creation. This is from Mitchell's Creations, and it is the colorway Unbothered, and it was a sock set, and I've already made a pair of socks out of this for my mom and gifted them to her, and so this is the leftovers for me. This is how much I have left of the little blue mini. And this is sock number 1. I have actually finished an entire sock and I've started sock number 2. So these are identical to my mom's, except I'm just doing the cuff in blue because I know I don't have enough to do the cuff and the toe. For my mom's, I did the cuff and the toe in blue. So last time I was here, so I've knit the entire foot and a rounded toe for this one as well. Same specs. I just cannot get over this yarn. I cannot wait to wear these. This is the most, I think it's the most beautiful yarn I've ever worked with. I've never seen a yarn that has that many colors in it and doesn't look muddy. It doesn't look like, it's just perfect. It glows. It's luminous. It's magical. I can't wait to wear these. And as you know, I'm on a quest to make some more socks that fit me because after having 2 kids, my shoes fit fine, but my feet are a different shape. So I need a slightly deeper heel, a slightly taller cuff, and a slightly longer foot, but only by like a third of a centimeter. But that third of a centimeter is so irritating when your heel slips underneath. So I've started the second one. There we go. And I actually finished this last night. I worked 20 rounds. Not last night, because last night I was working. Tuesday night. I was working until about 9:30, and I just couldn't bear the thought of going to bed. Having done nothing except work and be with my children all day. So I sat down and knit 20 rounds. So I'm ready to start the heel on this one. I will probably start the heel on this tonight, but we'll see. We'll see about that. So that's my sock progress. I already have yarn picked out for my next pair of socks after this. So we'll see which one of these gets finished faster. They're both around the same place. So this one probably has 10 more rounds knit on it than the other pair of socks I just showed you. I'm on the second sock of both of them, but still a ways to go. It'll probably be another month before those are finished because I have so many other projects on the go. Now, I have one more project that has significant progress to show you. And then I have some basically new projects that I've started and only swatched for, and some plans, some upcoming plans. So I have been saving this for last because this is the project that's gotten the most love, and it is my V-neck boxy by Hohi Locatelli. That is the pattern. I have officially joined under the arms and started knitting in the round. Let's see if I can find, I'm looking for my yarn label so I can show you this yarn. This is fiber optic yarn. Can't really see it very well because it's folded. It is the colorway Peacocks. This yarn is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. I bought this yarn at Rhinebeck in 2022, and specifically I bought it to make the V-neck boxy. So it has been waiting. I had grand plans to start this and get it going so that I could knit in the round after baby Noah was born. And it did not happen because you don't actually start this from the bottom up like you do a regular boxy. You start it from the top and you do short row shaping. So there's a lot of work that goes into it before you can join under the underarms. So I was very confused and thought that I could handle it. And so it's been sitting, waiting to be loved for over a year now. And it is finally joined under the arms. I'm so happy about this. I could scream, but I'm not going to. I won't burst your eardrums. This is where I was last time. So it may look like I've only gotten, 2 inches done, but I had to finish this left front panel of the V-neck. And then before I could join in the round under here, I had to work 6 rows around the entire thing just in stockinette. And that took 2 hours, I think, to do those 6 rows. And now I've joined in the round, and you can see this is the underarm. That's how much is done. And you may think, oh, that looks like more. That does look like more because you're working back and forth 6 rows, at least for my size, before you join under the V in the neck. So this is how much I've done since joining in the V. And I just am so excited with this. I probably could wiggle this on, but I think I don't want to until I've knit a little bit more. I'm kind of concerned that I need to start alternating skeins because I just joined a new skein and I think that it's a little bit darker than the other one. And it's not exactly color pooling, but I don't want it to start color pooling. Like I can see that it's getting a little collected here on the edge. So I think I may start helical knitting this. And helical knitting is you simply have 2 balls of yarn attached to something that you're knitting in the round, and you knit one all the way around until the last 3 stitches. You slip those stitches, you pick up the second ball, you knit all the way around, and you just keep doing that. It gets a little tricky if you're doing increases, decreases, waist shaping, all kinds of things, but this is none of that. It's just knitting for like, how many inches? 16 and 3/4 inches from the armhole. And I am approximately 2 inches from the armhole, and I joined the new ball right here. So 1 skein of yarn got me the entire way through the back, the short row shaping, both front panels, all this garter texture, all of that. So I did not join the new skein until after it was joined in the round, which is pretty cool. I have plenty of yarn. I have 5 of these, which she says should be plenty, hopefully. I'm sure it will be because Hohi is very good at writing patterns, but I'm enjoying every stitch. Again, it just feels like it's like luminous. It's so magical, this yarn. It's called Peacocks, which is perfect for this, but it also kind of looks like a magical oil slick, or I don't know. It's just everything I could ever hope for. I do think it's going to pill quite a bit, this yarn, but it'll be worth it. I cannot wait to wear this. I would love to put in a ton of work on this so that I could wear this in like when it gets cold, quote unquote, in Florida, which will be like January, which that would be 3 months from now. So it's possible, but I don't know if it's probable. We'll see. Either way, it will be in my wardrobe for an immensely long time, and I have already waited 2 years to start it, so it's fine. But wait, there's more. There's more. I have done 2 swatches for 2 new cast-ons. Number 1 is this swatch. It is a swatch for the Artist cardigan. Is there a picture of this? It's a picture, but it's black and white. I will show you on my iPad in just a moment. This Artist cardigan is a pattern by some company. I'll find it. But it's a free pattern. And I have been on a hunt, I guess, to make a slip stitch crochet cardigan. Why? I have no idea, truly, because I don't like doing slip stitches. But this uses a yarn over slip stitch, and it gives you texture like knitting. But it's crochet, and so you work it from side to side. Let's see, who is this by? Oh, that's why. It's by Anna Erlandsson, but it's published in the Yarbo Ravelry store. If you go to my project pages, I have already linked to this because I've already swatched, so I've already started it. It's called the Artist cardigan. This is what it looks like. And I actually favorited a couple that were similar to this, and I did not pick this cardigan simply because it was free. There was another one that I favorited that is almost identical, and they both used worsted weight yarn in the pattern. They both are worked side to side. Actually, the construction is a little bit different, but you have to work them that way to get the texture. So there's another similar one called the Nantucket Ribbed cardigan, and that has a pattern by Two of Wands on Ravelry. Let's see if I can get a bigger picture. That's what it looks like. So it is very, very similar. This is what the Artist cardigan looks like. To me, they are almost identical. The only thing that is different between the two is the Artist cardigan, and this is the reason I picked it, has a really unique shoulder shaping. So if I can find, this is what the Nantucket cardigan shoulder looks like. And you seam it together. So you can see that those slip stitches are joining right in the middle. The Artist cardigan actually has this little detail right here. So the main difference between these is the artist cardigan, you start on one side, you work all the way around using short rows to the other side, and then you basically, instead of seaming, you start the sleeves by working that detail. The Nantucket cardigan, you make in pieces and seam together. So, but they both use the yarn over slip stitch as their main stitch for the cardigan, which looks like this. I think I have enough yarn to make this in the yarn that I want to. This is yarn also from my lovely friend Amanda that I've been hoarding in the closet for a while because I knew that it needed to be a cardigan. I have balled it up. I have 6 skeins of this. This yarn is, where is my tag? It is Audine Wools by Knit Crate, and of course Knit Crate ran out of business, which is eternally sad because I really love their yarns. It is a Twinkle DK, and it is the colorway Knit Yorker, 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% stellina, and you get 250 yards for 100 grams. So this is a DK. The pattern calls for worsted. That's one of the things that I tend to do if I know my gauge is going to be tight, and my gauge is always tight. But for this specifically with slip stitches, I knew it was bound to be even tighter. I don't remember what hook size the pattern calls for. Maybe I wrote it down, but I think that I went up a hook size. It says hook 6 millimeter. Oh, I am using a 6 millimeter hook. My gauge is a little tighter though, even using DK. So they want you to have 16 stitches and 16 rows in 4 inches, and I have 18 stitches and 16 rows in 4 inches, but I think that it will be fine given the size that I'm making, given the positive ease, etc. But you can see, I think you can see the sparkle on this yarn. It is this pale lavender color that's just beautiful, and this to me is a neutral. Like, it's purple, but it's not so purple that it's like a statement purple. It almost from far away could look gray, and I think this will be a perfect neutral of a cardigan. So I have swatched, I have picked out my size that I am making, and I have scribbled all over the pattern. I'm going to be making the 3rd size. Oh, I know what else I wanted to say about this. I really didn't know what size to make. I tend to err on making much larger garments, but I retook some measurements because after 2 children, some things have changed. Namely, my bust size is a lot smaller. Before kids, my bust size was like 40.5 inches before Nova was born. After Nova was born and we did the whole nursing thing, it was like 38.5 inches, I think. And so now after Noah, it's 37.5. So I have lost 3 inches off of my bust circumference, which is not exciting. But that means that I need to like adjust some of the sizes that I'm making so it's not super duper duper big. I typically would make the 4th size in the pattern, which has a 43-inch bust. That's just what I would go to. But I took a hoodie out of my closet and measured it, one of my favorite hoodies that fits me really well, and it has like a 39-inch circumference at the bust area. And so I'm going to make the 3rd size, which is a 39 3/4 inch bust circumference. Hopefully it will work out. I don't really know. I hope that I will have enough yarn. I am adding length because I have a long torso. So what I'm lacking in width, I am making up for in length. So I have essentially determined that I'm going to add 10 stitches to every single row. I technically, to get the length I wanted, I needed to add like 12.5 stitches, but I need it to be easy because there are so many stitch counts on here where you turn after so many stitches. So like row 5, you turn after 74 stitches. Row 7, you turn after 86 stitches. And I can't be adding 12 in my head all the time. I'm going to mess it up. So I decided just to add 10 stitches, which should add 2.25 inches in length. I have been doing a lot of math on this. It required a lot of math, but I haven't done a lot of crochet. So I'm really excited about it, and all I want to do is start this. But lately I have not had much energy or time. So it is living in a tote bag. It came from my friend Emmy. It says, today's goal, keep the tiny humans alive. And that is all I have been doing lately. The other thing I swatched for is actually a tank top, and I will show you again a picture on my iPad. It is called the Everyday Tank. It is a pattern by Alicia Shoemaker, who is Heart Hook Home. So I have not started the pattern. I have only swatched. Essentially, it's a tank top that uses the lemon peel stitch, which is like single crochet, double crochet, and then on the next row, you double crochet into the single crochets, etc. This pattern is $6.99. I am still going to make it because I refuse to let anybody like tell me what to do with the pattern, right? Even like by lack of information. However, this is a garment, a paid for garment pattern that does not have a schematic or any measurements other than the bust. So just be aware if you are going to make this that there is no schematic. And I think that that is a crime. Every crochet or knitting pattern should have a schematic, but especially a garment pattern. It is not friendly to makers and it is not size inclusive specifically to not have a schematic, because if you can't tell the armhole depth, if you can't tell the length, if you can't tell like neck holes shaping, how are you supposed to make adjustments to fit your body? I figured out that for the size large, which I will be making, well, I think I'll be making, I might actually try to make the medium. It depends on my gauge. I haven't really measured my gauge because I haven't blocked my swatch yet. The bust measurement for size large is 42 inches. Again, typically I would make a size large. I'm leaning towards maybe a medium, but that's a size 38 inch bust. So I don't really know. I definitely have enough yarn, but I went through the pattern and did some math based on the gauge and how many rows you have to work. And I figured out that for the size large, if you work the recommended number of rows in the pattern, that makes 17.5 inches of length under the armhole, which is a very long tank top, honestly. Like it'll fit me because I have a long torso, but that would be really long for most people. So again, where's the schematic? And I would be irritated about it if this was a free pattern, but because I paid $7 for this pattern, I'm like, give me a schematic. I feel like the history buffs are going to like come for me with pitchforks. But the guy who was like, give me liberty or give me death. He's John. I know you're screaming at the screen. You'd think I would know this, but I don't. Give me a schematic or don't publish your patterns. But that being said, I'm still going to make it. It is a 9-page pattern, and essentially you work the entire thing. I think you work it in turned rounds, I'm pretty sure. And then you work the front and backs and seam at the shoulders. So all I have done is swatch. I have not blocked the swatch. I have swatched with a 3.5 millimeter needle and I went down a yarn size. So she calls for fingering weight yarn and I am using a light fingering weight yarn. Oh, I just love this too. Typically I stay away from more pastel colors, but I think this color is totally fine on my skin. Like a pale yellow makes me look like I'm dying. Dying of dysentery. But this is perfect. This yarn, I have like half a bin of this in my stash and I have not been using it because it doesn't exist anymore. And if you can find some online, it's like $8, $10 a ball. And this yarn used to cost $3 at Michael's. With inflation, okay, $5 maybe, but like, if you don't want to pay $10 for this, half of my yarn stash came from my friend Amanda of this yarn, and then half of it is stuff I've bought usually because I really love this yarn. This is Loops and Threads Wool-like. It is a yarn they don't make anymore. It's discontinued. It is a light fingering weight. You get 678 yards for 100 grams, and it's 85% acrylic, 15% nylon. I have made 2 sweaters out of this yarn and 4 shawls, I think 4 shawls, one of which has been with me all over the world. I also have a black and a gray Kyler shawl. It's a knit shawl that my friend Amanda made. And my black one I wear constantly. I wear it it's part of my wedding officiating outfit. I wear it all the time. In fact, I wore it to officiate, is that the right word? Facilitate a funeral on Saturday last week. So I love Woolite. I will say it pills a little bit, especially on high friction areas, but on shawls, it's absolutely perfect. And if you don't mind some pilling, like gleaning it, it's totally fine. But they don't make it anymore. So I haven't been using any of the yarn because I've been very precious about it. So I feel like this goes for the fancy yarn now because this yarn doesn't exist. But I've decided there will be yarn forever. There will always be yarn to work with, right? So I don't need to do that. I can, in fact, make this tank top. And I think that it will be really good to make a tank top out of this because it will be light. This is a super light yarn. And it won't have the friction of a sleeve rubbing on right here. So it will not pill as much. I have actually 3 balls of this, but I think I will only need 2. I'm sure I will only need 2 because this is 1,400 yards and I only need 1,100 to make the large size. But again, it depends on my gauge and I just have not measured this. I'm going to measure it and then I'm going to pin it out and steam it and then measure it again. Because this is acrylic, once you steam it, it will stay that size forever. I think that this is a little bit dense for me, but the fabric is very light. So once it is like this, I think it will be perfect for a tank top. She instructs you in the pattern that the fabric is dense on purpose so that you don't have to wear something underneath. But I'm always gonna wear something under my crochet. I think I don't usually just wear crochet by itself. So yeah, I don't mind that it's a little bit see-through when it's stretched out. So I gotta measure, but I really love it. And I think it'll be not a super quick project, but it shouldn't be super slow either because it's a tank top. And I got really inspired. This is living in a watermelon bag that I made myself. This is one of the very first bags I ever made a long time ago. And I just love it. It makes me happy. It is very, very, very wonky. Like, don't look at the wrinkly seams on this. They go all over the place. Like, I could not keep my sewing machine needle straight. But who cares? Who cares? It's watermelons. And I love it. So that will be coming soon at some point. The last project I have that has not been started is actually I'm going to be starting a new Treasure Island shawl. I think I need to get one of these other shawls out of the bags first. At least the Wonder Woman one done before I start this. This should be a fairly quick project. It's living in this lovely little bag that Claudia of Crochet Luna sent me. And in this, I've already caked up the yarn. It is fiber seed yarn. And fiber seed used to be a local to me yarn dyer, but they've since moved to like Michigan or something. This is a sprout sock base. It is a big ball of yarn. So you get 136 grams to get 500 yards. It's 90% merino, 10% nylon, and the colorway is interstellar. I have had this yarn for years. I bought this at my local yarn store before it closed a long time ago before that. So my local yarn store closed a couple years ago, and this I bought years before that. So it has been sitting in my stash forever. This also kind of is a fancy yarn now. Entry, although I'm sure it won't be done. There's no requirement that you finish anything. I just have been wanting to make another Treasure Island shawl for quite some time. And the Treasure Island shawl is the first pattern I ever made. I ever designed, rather. And this is the one that I wear all the time. This is a merino nylon blend from Frabjous Fibers, which again was another big skein. And it's just perfect. It's a lightweight shawl. It's so lightweight. And I wear it all the time because Florida is hot. But I've really wanted one that's like blue and purple. And so I'm finally getting around to doing that. And by finally, I mean it still hasn't been started. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Update on my mug. Some of y'all ordered mugs from Thick Bottom Pots, handmade mugs last time, and I have heard that you are absolutely loving them. And all I will have to say is that I still absolutely love mine. I have some blueberry citrus basil cold infused tea in here at the moment, and it's just magical. Every time I use that mug, it is like drinking out of a cup of love. And if you would like a handmade mug to add love to your life, I will link Thick Bottom Pots below. I will support her forever. I just think she is fabulous, and she lives only a couple hours from me, and she's so nice. So that is a lot. That's a lot of things to show you. We're not done. I have some incoming, and let's see. I don't even know where to begin. I will just say I won a prize in the Summer of Romance make-along. hosted by Claudia of Crochet Luna and Clarisabeth of CrochetCakes, who are some of just the most lovely yarn people on the planet. I have met both of them in person. I consider them friends. I love them both so much. And if you've been around a long, long time, you will know this podcast exists because of Claudia at Crochet Luna. She started and she was so inspiring and so supportive, and that like gave me the impetus to start this. And so I will forever love her, forever and ever and ever. Also, I just think she's fabulous. Hi, Claudia, I love you. Anyways, I won a prize for the Summer of Romance Mal, which I made a bag, which I don't have here. It's in my project bag stash. I made it using the Hooks and Needles subscription box. I made a crossbody bag into a project bag by significantly modifying it, and then I lined it with Star Wars fabric, and randomly I was selected to win. And so what I won is a bag of pocket bananas. If you do not know what pocket bananas are, I don't really like regular bananas, but I love runt bananas. Like, I love them so much. Once upon a time in 2018, I went to Vegas with my husband for a weekend for our anniversary. This was obviously way before kids. And Claudia of Crochet Luna and Stephanie from the Tatted Tatter, who doesn't even podcast anymore, and Zelda Z from Zelda NRJ3 on YouTube. Hi. We all met there. So my husband went home and I stayed a couple extra days and we hung out all together. And I had banana runts and I had them in my pocket at all times, and I was just always eating them. And so they were pocket bananas. And so when I won a prize, she sent me a bag of pocket bananas, which I have been restraining every ounce of my soul from constantly eating, because I've had these for like a week and a half, 2 weeks now. It's just so funny. There was also a chapstick somewhere. I don't know where it ended up. It's somewhere in my house. Nova ran away with it, but I would not let her run away with the pocket bananas. And then a mosaic crochet and knitting directory, which is so cool. I have actually been, let me chew my pocket banana. I have actually been looking at mosaic crochet recently, but this is really cool because it has both crochet and knitting in all kinds of designs. And I will show you in my Ravelry favorites that I have been saving mosaic crochet designs. I have not ever done one before, but like that is a mosaic design, Santa one. This right here, gingerbread blanket. This, I think, is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. That's a blanket. And if you want any of these patterns, like you want a link, just go to my Ravelry page, which is linked down below, and you can go to my favorites and they're saved in there. And then this one, this is the first one I saved, the fairy dust cow. So I have been interested in mosaic crochet, but I haven't done any. I've never tried it. So yeah, it's so cool to have this book. And then it has like, look at that, it's a cactus. Oh, so cute. I'm gonna find the Christmas tree one. It's called Happy Little Trees. Reminds me of Bob Ross. What else? Leaves, ivy, a bumblebee. So yeah, you can basically design your own mosaic crochet with this stuff. There is an Easter egg, which I feel like would be really easy to turn into a mitten. There's a chicken. And I will say, when you're looking at it up close, it doesn't look like a chicken, but from far away, it for sure looks like a chicken. A reindeer. Snow. So you could just design your own stuff, which is super cool. It's super cool. So thank you, Claudia. I love this. Right now, I will probably not be working on any mosaic crochet until I get some of these whips cleared, but I am going to be working on some mosaic crochet because I think I want to try it. I may try something small at first, maybe some mug rugs or a cowl, a mosaic crochet cowl, something like that, before I dive into the blanket train. It's been a while since I made a blanket, but it will be coming. The other thing I got from Claudia, oh, they're stuck together. I purchased this. This is, it's stuck together because I opened it and then I did not keep, is the More It magazine. So Morit is a fancy crochet magazine made by Allison of Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast. It is the equivalent of like Lane magazine for knitters, or like what Pom Pom was before Pom Pom closed. It has just incredible patterns in it. And of course it comes from the UK. So I always try to get mine from Claudia because she gets copies from Allison and then posts them. I think 1 or 2 times I have not been able to get one because I wasn't paying attention. But I just think it's beautiful as artwork. Like this is a cardigan pattern called Into the Woods. I have to find the one that I will for sure be making. This shawl is amazing. And this is all crochet. Oh, this one, it's called Wicca? I'm not sure. Look at that. So you make this. This is the top. And then these are like lace cloud sleeves. There is a hood. There is like a witchy kind of a sweater. There is a mosaic crochet blanket. Speaking of mosaic crochet. And a cable sweater. Is that it? Oh no, there's a vest. And this shawl is super cool. I don't know if you could really see that very well, but there's also a cape and a hood and a belt. So there's tons of patterns in here, and it's just really, really, really well done. So I'm happy to have this copy of Morit because I have every single issue so far, and I hope to continue getting every single issue one by one, because I just think we should support it. The other Happy Mail I ordered months ago, and I have not even opened it. The only reason it has a hole is because the packaging for Morit magazine was stuck. Look at this. I'm going to open it. I'm not going to open it all the way. I think that they're individually packaged. I talked about this a long time ago because I ordered it months ago. It was a pre-order from Tippy Tree Yarns for a Bob's Burgers Halloween Advent. And I have never done a Halloween Advent, okay? But I love Bob's Burgers. I will always love Bob's Burgers. I once dressed as Tina for Halloween. It's just cool. And so, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like. It has there are 11 days of mini skeins that you start with day 1 on October 20th. And then you have a big skein on October 30th. And it says, please don't post on Halloween or before Halloween to keep the colorways a secret for everyone. So yeah, they're all named after Bob's Burgers. So like this one says, we trick or treat alone. Number 2 is if you got it, haunt it. It's so good. It's so good. I can't wait to see these, but I'm going to wait. I can't wait, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to put it over there because I'm just really, 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 really excited to open that. And then I don't know what I'm going to make with that project. It's going to be 10 times, it's 200 grams, 300 grams of yarn. That's plenty to make quite a few different kinds of projects. Shawl, socks, all of it. So that concludes the yarny stuff. I have been talking for an hour already. Oh my gosh. It's a good thing the baby's still sleeping. We still have to talk about the hurricane. I hope you brought a good beverage and a good project because this is going to be a long episode. Much longer than normal. That's the end of the yarn. So what I will say is I'm going to talk about the hurricane and about what the last week has been like in our life. And if you don't want to hear that, or I'm probably going to get emotional. So if it feels like a bit much to you, too much to handle, it's fine. You can totally click off and come back. I'm actually going to have a video for you next Saturday as well. An extra video this month. So you can totally be okay with that and come back later. I will not be offended. But if you want to know what happened with the hurricane, stick around because I'm going to tell you. So normally I would have this episode up last Saturday, but it's a week late because of Hurricane Helene. Now, we knew Hurricane Helene was coming and we didn't know where it was going to hit. Eventually, once it formed, we were like, well, it might hit Tallahassee. That would have been horrendous. It ended up hitting a little bit to the right. So Florida looks like this. We are right here. This is the Gulf of Mexico. This is the Atlantic Ocean over here. So we are right here in the middle in Tampa Bay. This is what's called the Big Bend area. And then Tallahassee is the capital of Florida. It's over here. Originally, the storm was scheduled to just nail Tallahassee. It actually ended up going in over here a little bit, which is better because there's less people there. That is not to say that it didn't cause massive devastation, because it did. But it would have literally wiped out the capital of our entire state. Where it went in up here, these little towns, they're like little rural coastal beach towns. Something like 95% of the structures there are either gone completely or have significant damage. So like if you had a house there, it's gone. It doesn't exist, which is mind-blowing. We did not have sustained hurricane force winds where we are because the hurricane went up the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. So it was out in the water over here going this way and then turning this way. So it was going like this. But we had gusts. So a sustained hurricane force wind it has to be a wind that high for 60 seconds or longer. We had gusts though, and we were 100 miles away from the center of the storm. We had gusts of 80 something miles an hour. When it hit up here, it was sustained hurricane force winds of 140 miles an hour. I mean, it's unsurvivable. Nothing can survive that kind of wind. We did not get a ton of rain in our area with that storm, which is good for my house particularly, because when the tropical storm came through, our entire backyard and the building in the backyard flooded with a lot of water. So we had debris, we had tree limbs down, we had stuff to clean up, but we actually did not have any flooding in our house. The main problem in our area with Hurricane Helene is the storm surge. So storm surge, if you don't know, is when a storm off the coast pushes water like inland. So whatever the water level is normally, you have high tide, you have low tide, it fluctuates a little bit. But storm surge is water coming this way. So it's not rain, okay? If the water level is normally sea level, let's say, is 0, and at high tide it's normally 3 feet, storm surge is on top of that. So we had storm surge in our area of 5 to 8 feet. And we really did. And they always say there's going to be storm surge. I've never seen anything like it, and neither has anyone who's lived here. This is like 100-year flood. Like it has not happened in a century. We didn't have any storm surge where I live because we are several miles inland. But there are like so many houses, businesses, like their entire first floor is gone. Like the water just took it out. The beach was not on the beach anymore. The storm surge pushed so much sand that there are like sand dunes in the road. Like normally you have the beach, you have all these hotels and buildings and everything like that. Then you have a road and you have across the road, right? The sand came from the beach all the way over here, like covering the road. You couldn't even see the road. Boats were pushed 1/4 mile inland, which is insane. Cars were just floating. It looks like snowdrifts in some of the beach towns because the people have been out with like bulldozers and tractors trying to clear the roads, and the sand is piled like 4 or 5 feet high on the side of the road, and it looks like a snowdrift, but it's sand. There are pictures circulating of like cars buried in sand, which is insane. So we did not have any storm surge. We actually never even lost power, which is wild because our entire neighborhood was out of power for several days, except for half of our street on this side. So I'm really grateful that we ended up having power. It enabled us to help a lot of people. Also, it was like 90 something degrees after the hurricane came through. But we have quite a few friends who are not so lucky. I personally know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 families whose house was flooded with anywhere from 1 to 5 feet of water. It was crazy. And yeah, like driving, we have some friends that live on Treasure Island, which is a beach. The beach I named this shawl after, in fact, maybe 5 miles away from us. They live not on the beach side of Treasure Island, they live on the back side of it, but they had 2.5 feet of water in their garage, a foot of water in their house. At the end of their street, which is not a long street, mind you, there was water over the kitchen countertops in their friend's house. And so there's just so much rebuilding that's going to need to be done. And it's not like when the water gets in your house, it's not like, oh, it's a flood, you have to just replace some drywall. Like anything it touches pretty much you have to throw away, because that is nasty water. It's not just ocean water. When storm surge comes like that, it overflows the sewer system, it overflows the water treatment system. Like, so that water is nasty. It is full of chemicals. It's full of like boat engine fuel, car fuel, everything that it floods and takes with it ends up in that water. And so people's houses that were flooded to the ceiling, all of their toilets, everything, it's in that water. And so it's not just mold that you're concerned about, it's like actual bacteria. So these houses are going to have to be gutted. Some of them are like total losses. There are some schools, like elementary schools and stuff where I live, that like they literally just can't open. And they're probably gonna have to be bulldozed and rebuilt. And that's just what happened here. Like in the Big Bend, in the Panhandle area where it went in, the houses don't even exist anymore. There's nothing left. Like we have frames, we have walls on the beaches. It's just everything inside the house is on the curb. Like an entire life's worth of stuff is on the curb. Couches, beds, appliances, it's all a total loss, right? But up there isn't even a house left. Like it's just flattened debris. And that's not even the worst part. So like Florida, I feel like is prepared for hurricanes as much as you can be prepared. We build things out of concrete. We don't always build things out of concrete, but like we know, we evacuate, like we have hurricane plans in place and we know the storm is coming. Typically, so if this is Florida, this is the rest of America up here. Typically when a storm comes in this way in the Gulf of Mexico, by the time it gets up into the middle of the country, like Tennessee, North Carolina, all these places, it's like a thunderstorm. It's like a tropical depression, maybe. It's not a big deal. Like you might lose power for like a day or two, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. This was not the case. The storm was moving so fast and dumped so much rain and so much wind that it caused catastrophic damage across multiple states, not just Florida. Georgia and Atlanta had flash flooding. In South Carolina, where my in-laws live, my husband said that they said they've never seen a storm like this, like trees down everywhere. They'd be out of power for at least a week in their entire town. There are towns there's one town in particular in North Carolina, Asheville, that you can't even get to. Like it's a town of 100,000 people and you can't get there. The roads are gone. The roads are washed away. And you're like, how does this even happen? Like it happens because of flash floods. So as big of a problem as storm surge was here, in fact, we had 5 to 8 feet of storm surge in the Panhandle where the storm went in. They had 15 to 20 feet of storm surge. And the sheriff in that town was like, if you choose to stay in your house, write your name and your date of birth on your arm with a Sharpie, because that will help us identify you. This is not survivable. Like they were literally like, you will die if you don't leave. And I'm sure some people didn't. But in general, Floridians are a little more like, we're like, okay, like if it's going to be a direct hit as the Cat 4, we're not staying, right? But all of these towns up north, specifically Asheville, they didn't even know this was coming, right? They had no idea that this storm was going to intensify from a category 1 to a category 4 in 12 hours, and then 12 hours later be causing all of this damage where they are. So in less than a day, this storm went from Florida all the way up to North Carolina and dumped 20 inches of rain in North Carolina. And so the problem with landlocked areas is there is nowhere for the water to go except down. So when you have 20 inches of rain, first of all, that is an insane amount of rain. But when it's rushing downhill, it turns into 10 feet of rain very easily. And all of this rain is coming down the mountains, and that is why flash flooding is so dangerous, because it can come out of nowhere. Like if you're up high in the mountain, you're gonna be like, oh, this is a lot of water and I see it going down. If you're at the bottom in the valley, you're gonna drown. Like there's no way to get away from it. And there are horrible news stories of people, of like search and rescue teams being like finding cars with people trapped inside, and they've been there for days. And they died because the water just took it out. And the water, there are pictures of the water like just taking out entire buildings, just floating down the river. Roads, bridges are completely washed away. And when you have flash flooding like that, you have mudslides. So the ground gets so saturated that the ground just goes down like a avalanche, essentially. So I have some friends that live in Asheville, and they are okay. They don't have any power, and who knows when they will get power back or water. But they survived. But there have been literally, like, there are parts of North Carolina and Tennessee that are only accessible by air right now because the roads are entirely gone. And I can't. I don't know how to deal with that. Like, nobody knows how to deal with that. This is like I think that the level of devastation for this reminds me of Hurricane Katrina, which if you're old enough, you will remember Hurricane Katrina that like took out Louisiana. It's still parts of Louisiana have not recovered from that. I think that this is as bad or worse because it affected even more states, like Florida all the way up to Tennessee. 5 or 6 states have been affected by this. So it's just horrifying. And I have like a little bit of survivor guilt almost, like, because we're fine. We're fine. But so many people I love are not fine. And so many other people that I don't know but didn't deserve this are not fine. Like, we were just at our friend's house on Treasure Island who flooded for the last 2 days in a row. We've been taking them food. We've been taking them supplies. The island was closed for 4 or 5 days. Like, nobody could get on or off the island unless you had a permit from the police. One of my friend's parents had to be rescued from their home on the beach because there was 5 feet of water in their home. Like, literally, I can't even imagine that, right? Like, I'm 5'4", 5'5" maybe. So the water would have been here. Like you stand on your tippy toes, and if you sit down, you drown. That's how significant the water was. So it's a mess. I had a lot of beach weddings scheduled this month. They've all been moved. Everything is just topsy-turvy. And it's hard for me to know what to do because we're doing what we can. My parents stayed with us for a little bit. Their trailer up in Brooksville is fine. But also we had some friends come over to take showers, eat meals, have hot coffee because they didn't have any water or sewer at their place, even though they didn't flood. Like, half of St. Pete didn't have access to water. Like, the water system was off. You could not flush anything. If you did, you ran the risk of sewer overflowing into your home. You couldn't drink out of the tap. So we've had a lot of people coming in and out. We had our friends stay with us for a little bit who lost their power until it came back on. And so I've been doing anything I possibly can, like feeding people, taking supplies. It's difficult with 2 kids because Nova's like very stressed out about the whole thing. And she's so smart and so intuitive that she understands more than you should, I think, as a 3-year-old. Because she's like, if the water gets in your house, you die. Like, she came up with that by herself. So I'm trying to like manage her emotions, but also like help people where we can. And it's been really rough. Like, I don't know. It feels wrong to have power and to have water and to have nothing wrong with our house when there's such devastation all around. At the same time, I'm really glad we do, not just for me, but so we can help other people. I know I haven't been to knitting group in a really long time because of baby Noah, but I know 1 or 2 people in that knitting group lost their houses and they therefore lost their yarn stashes, which hurts my heart. So I'm going to be giving some yarn because in times like these, you want to turn to like knitting and crochet to calm your nerves and like give your hands something to do when there's literally nothing to be done, right? But they don't even have that. It just breaks my heart, and I don't want to start bawling my eyes out, but it's been really, really rough around here lately. And on top of that, the storm came through Thursday night last week. And then by Friday, it was up causing havoc in South Carolina and North Carolina. On Saturday, my cousin's funeral happened, and I officiated that funeral, which I feel like I did a good job, but it felt very heavy emotionally, not just because it's a funeral and it's sad that someone dies, but also like that on top of the entire week that had happened, and other people are, are going to be preparing for their own funerals because loved ones died because of the hurricane. And my cousin had passed away 2 weeks ago at that point. Now it's almost 3 weeks ago. But he was only 23. He had his whole life ahead of him. And it was Sunday, we had church. And then Monday this week, just a couple days ago, I was so tired. I felt like I couldn't even think. Like my brain was just completely offline. So it's been quite a thing that has happened. And I don't know, the death toll from Hurricane Helene, I saw something this morning that it's up almost to 200 people. And they are estimating, once the search and rescue efforts can keep going, because it's been several days, but they still can't get to people because there's no roads, that when they really find everything, that it could be hundreds and hundreds of people that lost their lives because of the storm. So I don't really know how to live. I don't know. I was talking to another friend about this, whose house, they were without power for a while. They thankfully did not flood, but they had a trip planned for like a year at this point, somewhere else. And so they went on the trip because they didn't know what else to do. But she's like, I spent the whole time feeling guilty and miserable because I shouldn't be having all this stuff when everyone else has nothing. But at the same time, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, this was already paid for. There's nothing to be done here. There's no power. And the only thing I could come up with is there's so much misery in the world, and the way to fix it is not to add more misery, but it's to add hope. I'm going to cry. Hope and joy and peace anywhere you can. And there's so much misery. Like, there's so many families. I'm in the Facebook group for St. Pete moms, and there's so many moms that are like, I don't know where to go. Like, our house is flooded. I guess we need a rental, but like, I need a rental and I have kids and rentals are really hard to come by in this area. There was a couple moms that posted like they're having a baby coming and they just had their baby shower and they've lost everything for that baby. And I just can't imagine. Like, I look at my sweet fat Noah and my fireball prickly Nova, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine because I can see it like outside my doorstep, but it just feels wrong to be here in this house having stuff when other people don't. So I don't know. One of the really scary stories is I have an older couple that comes to our church occasionally, and I just love them so much. They're so dear to me. But they live up in North St. Pete, and they've never had any kind of flooding. They've never experienced anything like that. The water got up to the 2 inches from their doorstep in their mobile home. And like, they were surrounded. So a mobile home, if you don't know, it's usually on wheels or on blocks or something. Like, it's off the ground a good amount, like usually 2 to 3 feet off the ground. So the water surrounded their entire mobile home. And so they were a little island up all night. These elderly people up all night watching the water get closer and closer and closer and closer. And it finally stopped 2 inches below their door. And then it's like slowly went back down. But they were like literally in an island of water in their tiny little house. I just can't, like, how do you recover from that psychologically? I don't know. So all that to say, it feels really heavy and I don't know what to do. So I'm doing what I can, sharing food, sharing coffee, taking meals to people, taking supplies to people. I'm going to pack up some yarn and take it to people. One lady in particular who I know lost her yarn stash. And I'm going to keep smiling as much as I can for my babies, because Noah doesn't care too much, but Nova knows. She knows what's happening. And I don't want to worry her any more than she's already worried. At one point, we were really nervous that there was going to be another storm this weekend, and there is going to be a storm. It's just not going to be like a hurricane. At most, it'll be like a tropical storm, maybe, but if it is, it'll probably be down south. We're definitely going to get a lot of rain Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday next week, which may flood our backyard because the drainage systems are just so overwhelmed right now, and it's going to definitely hinder cleanup efforts around here. But at least it won't be another hurricane, because literally Hurricane Helene went through, and the next day they were like, the National Hurricane Center gives this area a 50% chance of developing into a hurricane over the next 5 days, and they actually have dropped that down to 30%. So that's something. So yeah, I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to end this video. I feel like I'm just rambling. It's a really long video, so I should end it. Thank you for sticking with me if you stuck this long. I just feel a little lost and a little sad, and my heart is just broken for everybody, not just the people I love who've lost everything, but the people I don't know who've lost everything in a whole different state. So I guess that's going to take a while for me to get through, but I will get by with some help from Pocket Bananas. Thank you, Claudia. I will link her podcast down below. You should definitely go watch it. And Clarisabeth of CrochetCakes, who I also love dearly. So I'm going to go because the baby will be up soon. Yeah, really soon. And I will try to get this edited and uploaded for Saturday. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know if you were affected by the hurricane. How are you doing? Do you know anybody? Just we can kind of make this space together. And I will be back next Saturday for a different kind of a video. Until then, please stay safe. Sorry, I'm really emotional. Please stay safe and keep crafting and channel some of this energy into yarn. That's really all we can do, I think. And try not to add more misery to the world. Add some light and peace and hope anywhere you can, as we'll get through it. But things will never be the same. So happy crafting. I will see you soon. If you like this video, you can subscribe. I know this is a really long, really depressing at the end video, but that's life in the big city. So until I see you again, take care of yourselves. Bye, friends.